This week's Torah portion begins with God telling us about the incredible blessings that we'll get if we walk in His statutes. Rashi, the greatest of the biblical commentators, explains that you would think that that phrase refers to observing the commandments, but it doesn't, because God's already told us we have to do that in a prior passage. So what does it refer to? It means toiling in Torah, putting in that effort to study the Torah. But that seems to set up a contradiction, because in a prior Torah portion, at the beginning of Mishpatim, the same commentator, Rashi, tells us that when God commands Moshe to teach the statutes to the Jewish people, he's telling Moshe, don't mail in your performance. Don't just teach it to them a couple times. Make sure they really know it. Set it out in front of them like a table on which the food is ready to eat. Which sounds like Moshe is being told to spoon feed it to us. What happened to the required toil for Torah study? I heard an interesting possible explanation. Maybe the Jewish people had already toiled during the 210 years of backbreaking slavery in Egypt, when notwithstanding the crushing subjugation, we, our ancestors, managed to keep our language and our dress and our names. Very difficult. Maybe that toil resulted in God telling us, now when you get the Torah for the first time, I'm going to give it to you on a silver platter. But the lesson for us nowadays is clear. Toil may not only refer to sitting in the Torah study hall, working on figuring out a passage in the Torah or in the Talmud. It could mean getting yourself in that seat in the first place, in your home, at your desk, on the phone, or in the study hall. You've got to make that time, borrow that time, set aside that time, steal that time for Torah study. Stop in at your local kollel if your community has one. Ask them to set you up with a study partner. Get in touch with partners in Torah and ask them to find you a partner for an hour a week. Or if you can teach, volunteer to do so. We've all got to constantly be moving out of our comfort zone, trying to grab more time for Torah study. And for each of us, toil can mean something different. For a great sage, it can mean finding a 15th, 16th, 17th hour in the day to study. For some of us, it can mean finding an hour a week or 15 minutes in a day. There's a story told about a sage who was very upset at the end of the year because he had 15 minutes for which he couldn't account. Unfortunately, for so many of us, we don't just have 15 minutes per week for which we can't account. We don't just have 15 minutes per day. We often have 15 minutes every hour that we waste, that we fritter away. It's tough. So many temptations, so many distractions. Call a kavod that you're watching this video. Good for you. We know you can be watching a cat video or the latest movie premiere on the internet, but you're watching this, and you've got to find more time to engage in that most delicious of activities in the world, studying Torah, and then reaping the blessings that come from it.